Hey, what's up guys? Today I'll show you a fantasy superhero film titled The Invisible Boy. Spoiler ahead, watch out and take care. A skinny man falls to the ground after carving the landscape of a city on a white wall. The city he is trying to depict is his hometown. The young boy Mickey wants to buy his ideal Spider-Man costume for the Halloween party. He comes to the store early in the morning, even before school. But it's too early that the store isn't open yet. So he has to go to school empty-handed. What's worse, during a quiz, his cell phone is confiscated by the teacher because he was caught taking pictures of a girl and his goddess secretly. At the moment, following the principal, a female law officer walks in and informs the class about the missing of little Fatty, one of their classmates. Mickey is the law officer's son. Despite that, he has always been bullied by his classmates. A tall bully robs his money in the toilet, 2 bullies shoot him with a paintball gun, and even humiliate him in front of whole school. All classmates take him as a joke. After being robbed, he has very little cash left. So he has to go to the party in a very cheap Halloween costume. Despite that, thanks to his mother, Mickey finally builds up his courage to chat with his crush girl nicknamed Goddess at the party. However, the 2 bullies start to play some videos footage of Goddess on a big screen, which Mickey took secretly of her during the quiz. Goddess notices that, and questions Mickey for why he even did that stupid thing. Mickey becomes very awkward and escapes into the bathroom. He is so extremely frustrated that he starts to pray for God in front of the mirror to gift him some superpower that would make him invisible. Right then, lightning takes place suddenly, which seems like the response of God. The next morning, when Mickey's brushing his teeth, he is astonished to find himself invisible. He freaks out for a while, but later, he accepts it and even starts to plan for the next steps. He rides to school with all his body parts being covered by clothes, gloves, glasses, scarves and a hat. After seeing the tall bully putting the annoying paintball gun in his school bag, Mickey decides to make the bullies pay for what they did to him. So he takes all clothes and covers off, so that he is totally invisible to anybody. Firstly, he enters the classroom, takes the paintball gun out when the tall bully doesn't pay attention. He shoots it towards the blackboard right next to the teacher. Next, Mickey goes to the tennis court, where the short bully is in his key match. Mickey intentionally does some tricks behind him, and makes the short bully boy lose the game in front of his dad. His dad is in great rage. The short bully boy is then frightened by flying tennis in the locker room. Finally, here comes the most exciting part. Mickey sneaks into the girl's locker room, who is totally immersed in what he sees there. But suddenly a girl throws out a blanket, and it covers Mickey by accident, which exposes his spot. Mickey panics and gradually becomes visible again, totally naked in the girls' locker room. This news brings his mother, the law officer, to the school. But she isn't angry after learning what he did. She comforts her boy gently. Mickey starts a nosebleed suddenly. He frequently gets nosebleed these days. He notices that it might have something to do with the superpower. Then, his mother receives a phone call, reporting another missing case of the short bully. The law officer starts to look deep into the cases, and there is one thing in common. Every child who has been missing has left a message or video, which makes them look like simple runaway from home cases due to some kind of mental issues. The psychologist visits their school and starts mental guiding for these kids. Once in a class, after finding his own hands turn invisible, Mickey escapes from the classroom. However, due to his carelessness, his little sister discovers his superpower. He has to tell her everything, and believes the cheap costume he bought for Halloween might be a magical suit, since he gains this superpower by wearing it just once. One day, Mickey overhears his mother's phone call and learns that he was adopted. He is shocked by that, so he runs to the beach, and Goddess also shows up there. She isn't afraid of him. Instead, she regards him as her friend. She draws a smiling face as their secret signal. After making a date to see each other next time, she heads to gym training. On the next day at school, Mickey sees the same smiling face on the notebook of Goddess. He is so excited that he climbs into the Goddess's room through the window that night. However, his heart beats faster when approaching Goddess. As such, Mickey loses his invisibility gradually, which makes him totally naked. So he has to run back home with just a blanket on. His sister finds out Mickey's hormone desire for Goddess. Under her encouragement, Mickey finally decides to confess to Goddess in the gym center. He happens to see the robber kidnapping Goddess out of the gym center, and Goddess is knocked unconscious. Mickey tries to stop the robber, but he is no match to the robber. The robber gets rid of him very easily and leaves right away. Mickey is quite worried about Goddess, and regrets that he isn't able to save her. Under depression, he goes to the beach, where he meets a blind man who could read his mind out. The blind man tells him that he is actually his biological father. The father further tells him the superpower is caused by the nuclear leakage disaster. Some survivors are left with certain superpowers. An organization named Schismatic captured all those survivors and studied them in the dark in order to take advantage of their superpowers. But due to overusing their superpowers, some survivors' physical organs are exhausted. And Mickey's father is one of them, who started to lose his vision. Although most of the survivors lose their fertility, Mickey's parents still gave birth to 2 twin babies, and Mickey is one of the twins. To save their babies, Mickey's parents escaped from the research center, but on their way out, in order to save her husband and babies, Mickey's mother tried to earn time for them but got killed by the chasing soldiers. Mickey's father then started his fugitive journey to find a stable and warm home for his son Mickey. Finally, the father found a law officer who was eager to adopt a child. After telling Mickey all the truth, his father gives Mickey an invisible uniform that his mother left for him. It's said that this suit could not only adjust according to the change of his skin, but also be invisible along with him. Soon, the law officer and the psychologist find Mickey at the beach, right after his father's left. While the law officer still has to investigate, the psychologist decides to send Mickey back home. Mickey discovers the bandage on the psychologist's wrist, and soon realizes he is the robber who kidnapped Goddess. But the psychologist doesn't panic after being discovered, but tries to capture Mickey. Not knowing how to use the invisible uniform properly, Mickey gets limited skills to fight with the psychologist. Luckily, he gets out of the house and meets the tall bully on the street riding a motorbike. Mickey pushes him to start the engine and leave. After Mickey successfully escapes from the psychologist, he shares the secret of his superpower with the tall bully, while the tall bully also turns to be frank with him. So these 2 teenagers decide to rescue the kidnapped classmates together. At the same time, somewhere in a dark lab, the researchers are testing on Goddess, but realize she doesn't have any superpowers. Then they remove her from their targets and lock her up in a dark cell, along with other 2 kids who have been kidnapped before. Goddess observes the structure of the cell room, and she has an idea to get out. Thanks to the help of the other 2 kids and her own gymnastic talents, she successfully gets out of the cell, manages to reach the roof, and uses the shooting light on the top of the tower to send out their secret signal to the sky, the smiling face. Fortunately, Mickey and the tall bully are searching for their location. After seeing the smiling signal on the clouds, they head to the port where the signal is sending out. But Goddess is found being captured up again by the guards. Mickey sneaks into the sub easily, with the assistance of his superpower, while the tall bully intentionally makes a mess by shooting his paintball gun to the port. Soon, Mickey finds and saves the 3 classmates. As they are heading out, the Goddess insists on rescuing an old man locked up inside the sub on the port. So Mickey asks the other 2 kids to leave first, and he goes back to save the old man with Goddess to the sub. However, it turns out that this is a trap. The truth is that one leader of Schismatic possesses the superpower of mind controlling. Anyone he touched would definitely become his puppet and listen to his commands, including the psychologist and Goddess. The leader informs Mickey that his mother's still alive, and she is expecting to meet him again. But Mickey only knows his mother is the female law officer, and no one else could replace her. Meanwhile, his father senses that Mickey's in danger, and comes to the law officer. They both head to the port immediately, where they find the tall bully wandering around. But others have already left the port, and the bombing device in the port also has been activated. The law officer saves the other 2 kids and the psychologist, who are subject to mind control. Right then, seeing the rapid countdown of the bomb, they all rush out of the port. Inside the sub, Mickey watches the fainted Goddess being locked up by Schismatic. He is worried so much about her safety. Mickey's potential is finally being stimulated. He gets rid of Schismatic, and rushes into the rescue capsule with the Goddess, and launches it to the surface of the sea. On the seaside, for the purpose of protecting Mickey, his father uses his power to eliminate the memory of all people around, who have witnessed Mickey's superpower of invisibility, including the memory of the law officer. So she is not able to remember the process of rescuing these kids. Nevertheless, she still deserves all honors, and becomes the big hero of the whole city. In front of Goddess, Mickey is now not nervous and timid anymore. He finally takes the courage to talk to his crushed girl. It's revealed that during the escape in the past, Mickey's father secretly took both of the twin babies out, meaning that Mickey's twin sister is still alive and hiding in another country. What's more, a female general is pissed off when learning the schismatic's failed actions. However, the general, who also possesses the invisibility superpower, is actually Mickey's biological mother, who is about to carry out her next plans. This is Daniel CC Movie Channel. Peace out.